Sub YouTube, we're a couple of cunts, we're in the countryside. We're talking about Arnold Schwarzenegger. Get to the chopper! Duncan, you son of a bitch. If you don't like Arnie quotes or shitty Arnie impressions, probably best you stop watching this episode now. There's not really going to be much for you in this episode.
I get the feeling that the factual content of this episode, the comedic content, is all going to be sort of swallowed by us going, you think this is the real Quaid? It is. Yeah. He's a big Austrian guy. He made some films. He became a governator. Now he's back making films. The Expendables 2 is imminent. It's just the manliest cast
It's just like fan service for action films.
Well, I mean, I watched the first Expendables film. I was really disappointed with it. Like, there weren't enough one-liners, there weren't enough explosions, it just wasn't ridiculous enough. With a film like that, they either have to commit and make it fucking ludicrous, or make it serious. And they couldn't decide, because like they'd have like a stupid action sequence with Jason Statham flying a plane and miniguns and shit, and then they'd have a quiet moment of Mickey Rourke monologuing, and it's like they don't belong in the same film. Either like be the A-Team and fucking fly a tank out of a plane, or be a serious drama. Don't do both. So I'm hoping, with the addition of like Chuck Norris and JCVD and everything, the sequel is just going to be balls to the wall, one-liners, explosions. There is a great moment in the first trailer where Jason Statham's dressed as like a priest or something. He's like, well, I now pronounce you man and knife, and then like shanks a guy. I was like, that's more of what you need.
The only stuff I've really seen so far for it is the ones that do the orange adverts. You know, they always do them before.
Oh, fucking hell, yeah.
The fucking one with that Gimpin from The In-Betweeners. Yeah. It's sort of like, it's so funny looking at him there, though, because he's probably about our height. It's quite weedy. It's just hung around with them, sort of like average-looking guy. And there's the rest of them, 3-4 inches taller, and all just absolutely stacked, and him just next to him, like biceps are as big as his head, and sort of just pick him up and
Terry
snap
Crews
him.
could literally just like destroy him with his little finger.
I don't know if they're going to plan to do a third one, but I'm thinking, looking at it, because you know how trilogies normally go. If they're on something good, they'll do a second one, and then they'll completely blow shit out of the water for the third one. I'm thinking if they do a third one, it would literally just be testosterone in film form.
Well, they've really upped the ante for the second one. Who could they introduce for the third film? They've got everyone in it.
I don't know.
The only person they're missing is Steven Seagal, and fuck that guy.
Exactly, fuck him. Arnie is everything that guy is not.
Yeah, the people making the Expendables 2 hopefully watched Arnie's entire back catalogue beforehand. Then you've got your one-liners and that. I mean, all you need is, you know, stick around, knock, knock. You know, consider that a divorce. Your luggage.
Damn it, Cohagen, you got what you want. Give these people air. See, that's a film I'm genuinely annoyed they're remaking. I'm going to have to watch it, I think, the Total Recall. I don't even think it's on Mars this time round.
It seems like they're going quite different with it.
It looked like, the trailer, it looked like very large parts of Minority Report, parts of it. It's sort of like, yeah, they're doing it differently, and I know Total Recall itself, the film, isn't completely based entirely on the short story, but...
There was a short story?
Yeah, it was... Was it Philip K. Dick? I can't remember which one of them wrote it. It was one of the main...
One of those old sci-fi guys.
But yeah, no, it was a short story originally. It's just based on the concept of whether he's actually doing it or whether the whole thing is just the imagination that he's got from being in the little mind booth that he goes in to imagine he's on holiday. Because part of it is you're a secret agent. And, you know, you're never quite sure whether that is him being a secret agent or whether he's just gone mental or somewhere in between the two.
It seems to be the big thing at the minute is remaking Arnie films, because obviously they did the remake of Conan the Barbarian with Jason Momoa, and now they've got Colin Farrell instead of Arnie.
At least Jason Momoa is a big dude. Okay, the guy in Total Recall did need to be huge. He just happened to be, so we got Arnie. But I've got nothing against Colin Farrell as an actor. It's just I can't see him really doing justice for Farrell. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
it's partial recall at best. It's not got him in it, or you know, for the most part, the Terminator stuff is ongoing. I do quite like the fact they're exploring the other areas and stuff, like some of the big battles, which you always knew existed, but you never really got to see because they didn't have the CGI and stuff back then. Excuse me, but I don't think the new Terminator films are anything on the old ones.
The first Terminator and Terminator 2 were great. 3 was shit. I've not actually seen Salvation. I've heard it's sort of
Me neither. I've not actually
Alright.
seen that. Someone else, I don't know if this was just a rumour or if it's actually been confirmed, but I'm pretty sure they're remaking Hercules in New York. Which again, I know that film exists. I know I've seen it. I can't remember anything that happens. I can't actually remember any dialogue because did anybody actually say anything about that film? Or was it literally just him just walking around like? I've not actually seen all of Pumping Iron either, which is his documentary. But one of the guys at work showed me some of it because he's got it on his phone for inspiration just before he goes to the gym. And there's this bit where with this, it's him and another guy with this ballet dancer, and she's doing these moves, just showing him how to, you know, accentuate certain things. And he's there, and she's just giving this really graceful thing. He's just sort of like getting to him, he's like, just bicep like that. It's like mental.
Back when he was making like Pumping Iron and Hercules in New York, like you know Arnie's buff, but he was
ridiculous.
He
That
was
was back when he was Mr. Universe.
He was wider than he was tall
was,
back
he
then.
literally
He was
was.
literally a chode. Just like it kind of looked like, you know, someone drawn by Rob Liefeld, just a fucking brick of a man with a little tiny head. Do I remember correctly that when Hercules in New York first came out, they redubbed all of Arnie's dialogue because his accent was so thick no one could
That's
understand
probably
it?
true, actually. And I know, I think it was for the Terminator films. When they re-released them, redid them, put them in Germany, he and Austria, he wanted to do the voiceover for his parts. He thought,
Makes
well, you know,
sense.
but they've said no, because Austria to Germany is the sort of like more farming, rural way. So the way a German will hear an Austrian accent is the way like we would hear like a country bumpkin, like a West Country accent. So rather than him like walking into a bar and like being really threatened or something, if he redubbed that in German, but basically they would hear, oh, I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle, I do.
Oh, you're a funny guy, Cammy. I like you, so I'm going to kill you last. See, I told you. Just, I'm surprised we haven't just descended into just constant quoting.
I am quite impressed actually. We're at least just standing here debating some of the stuff he's done, as opposed to just being like, "Hey, Richter, see you at the party."
Cocainum. Arnie he's one of those guys who's, it's like you hear the voice and you know exactly who it is. Or even the worst Arnie impersonation is so obviously Arnie. It's like Rainier Wolfcastle.
Yeah, that's him.
You know, yeah, it doesn't sound overly like Arnie, but it's just so blatantly obvious that that's who it's meant to be. I mean, some of the Simpsons voices are based on like really obscure people, like the fact that Gil is based on Jack Lemmon. You wouldn't really know that, but you hear Rainier Wolfcastle and you're just like, there's your Arnie. How do you sleep at night? On top of a pile of money with many beautiful ladies.
Oh,
Arnie must have got some poon in his time.
Well, this is one of the things that I think it only came out literally the last week or the week after he gave up his, he was no longer governor of California. But all the time he'd been in office and all the time he'd been married to his wife, he had a mistress on the go as well, and had like turned out he's got like a now 12-year-old kid with her, which he was just funneling off funds to her to keep her quiet and give the kid child support basically. So like, wow.
We saw on Wikipedia
Mental.
just before coming out here. He's got like 5 kids.
He is like, what was it, 62, 64 years old now? Something like
65, I think.
65, so, you know, he is knocking on a bit, which people are always forgetting. Like, he was like 40 when he made Predator. Look how fucking good shape he was in that film.
Ridiculous. But you can't imagine Arnie as a dad, can you? I mean, I can't imagine Arnie in a dressing gown reading the newspaper with the kids on a Sunday morning.
I just imagine him taking down the gym, to be honest with you.
Bump the iron.
You'll learn your father's craft. Now lift. I think America is probably the only country in the world that could actually elect him. I mean, it's not the first time they've elected, I don't know, like B-movie stars to be your president. What, Ronald Reagan?
I thought that Americans were really insular and were very sort of opposed to having anyone out who wasn't American in a position of power.
I'm not entirely sure quite how it worked. You definitely can't be president if you're foreign. I'm not sure if they had to pass some law or something like that, or if it varies from state to state.
Well, specifically so Arnie could be governor.
I'm pretty sure Arnie became an American citizen at some point. California's probably got a bit more of a liberal approach on some of the laws. It wouldn't surprise me if he couldn't have run for it in other places. I mean, I wouldn't have seen him being governor of Texas or something, but
I can't really think of much Arnie achieved during his time as governor,
I know
other than
executing
yeah.
Tukey Williams or
I was going to say that's. Like,
I'm sure he did other stuff. I think I've heard some generally negative things about his reign. I couldn't say I wasn't there. I think California's quite a difficult place to govern anyway.
With America, you're always going to hear bad things about someone because either the Republicans are going to be going, God damn, commie bastards, or the Democrats that are going to be going, oh, you're fascists. You can never please both sides.
No, I think it's very difficult to pick a side with the Americans, but I think I'd always have to go with the Democrats because they're slightly less crazy for guns, racism, and just, you know, outlawing everyone's rights.
I mean, in the last election, when you had Obama or John McCain, it was like, there's not really a lot of competition to that. Even though I was convinced they were going to elect McCain because, you know.
The new one, Mitt Romney, I fucking hope he doesn't get it.
Jesus Christ, yeah. I've
See,
seen some of his campaign videos.
But this is the thing, like, people are on about, okay, it doesn't affect me quite so much, but if I was in their position, they're sort of like, if you elect Obama, it's going to make it 5% more expensive for you to live or something year on year. If you elect Mitt Romney, you know, you're going to get a guy who believes the world was created in 7 days or something stupid like that. It's things like that that really worry me, where it's just sort of like, we have a guy who's openly professed he hates such and such country, and this is the guy we're electing who has his finger on the nuclear button. You might not like Obama, and he might make things a little more expensive for you, but at the same time, he's a lot less likely to go press him the big red button and just like, I'm going to nuke you.
What's next for Arnie?
This
you know,
is
the
true.
man's rapidly approaching 70, and I don't think... I mean, Clint Eastwood has managed to be a convincing badass into his, like, 80s. He was playing retired gunslingers, he was playing racist old guys, you know, things that suit people of that age. It's like, I don't want to insult Arnie, but his acting range, it's not huge. You know,
doesn't need to
he's
be
never going to
huge,
get
though.
nominated for an Oscar. As like when he gets to a certain age, what's he going to do?
I think Arnie's acting is kind of good because it's just so simple. He just turns up and points a gun at stuff like, I'm going to kill you now. He doesn't need to do anything more complicated. He doesn't need to have like a Daniel Day-Lewis fucking freak out, getting in character and stuff. He just needs to run round, pretend to be shooting people and look tough as shit.
That's true. No, I mean, I can't say anything bad about Arnie because whatever else he did with his career, he taught us what is best in life. Crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and hear the lamentations of their women.
Well, we've been a couple of cunts in the countryside. If you've enjoyed this episode, like, share, favorite, subscribe. Like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. If you did like this episode, maybe you need to pump some iron. Feel free to suggest a topic for us to talk about in a future episode, and we'll see you next time.
You remember when I said I'd kill you last? I lied.